The Mandalorian episode 1 and 2 are now out on Disney Plus, which premiered November 12th this month with some issues. But if you've heard anything about The Mandalorian, you know it's just being praised really strongly, and for a good reason. It is a fantastic show so far, and I feel like the closest that Star Wars under Disney has gotten to feeling like the OT.
You're fulfilling your destiny.
So I'll stay spoiler-free just for a little bit, just in case you want to watch The Mandalorian. I strongly recommend you do. Disney Plus's streaming service is, I think, like $6.99 a month. They're still working out kinks. The launch day was a absolute nightmare. Disney? Absolute nightmare. And I still notice it's having some problems, so you might have to deal with some glitches if you get their streaming service, but it's worth it for the content they have on it. So The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Imperials tried to hold onto the galaxy after Palpatine and Vader died, but the Resistance, through key battles, pushed them to the Outer Rim and to unknown space, where eventually the First Order was formed by Snoke. And Favreau said that he found it fun to focus on what happens after the celebration on Endor and the revolution succeeding. Because he said if you look at our own history, it's fun at first and full of happiness, then it gets complicated very quickly. So he wanted to explore what the galaxy would be like after Return of the Jedi and what type of characters would survive and thrive until the New Republic fully took over. Dealing with the chaos in the Imperial remnants. He finds scum and villainy fun to deal with. He also really wanted to get to the old films that inspired George Lucas, the samurai and western movies. Except he wanted to write something similar to those times when they were ending and how that worked out. So the Empire fell and the remnants are starting to either die out, work peacefully with the New Republic, or head to the unknown regions. In this show, we're seeing the galaxy as the New Republic brings order. You'll notice when you watch this show that there's a lot of references to all the other episodes. Obviously not the sequels, because the sequels haven't happened yet during The Mandalorian, but there are mentions not only of canon stuff, but non-canon stuff. I don't know where the Star Wars Christmas special goes in there, but they reference that too, so it's kind of cool, all these different Easter eggs. And I know Favreau said he wants to make a show for hardcore Star Wars fans, but also make it that anyone could come in and watch it and not feel lost. And I think he did a great job with that. And if you're wondering, this series will introduce new planets, starships, and species, but they wanted to stay connected and familiar to the universe we know, so you're gonna see a lot of droids and species and starships that you've seen before. Honestly, just from seeing these first 2 episodes, I feel like this is why when you put Favreau in charge, beautiful things happen. It needs to happen more often because the man is a genius, and he somehow made a live-action Star Wars TV series that felt so much like Star Wars that I know a lot of us love. You'll also see the amount of care and attention to detail, such as at one point, this isn't really a spoiler, but you'll see the reflection of some people in his helmet instead of us actually seeing them sneaking around, and it's really cool. It's a great attention to detail. The characters so far are great. The Mando himself, who is played by Pedro Pascal? I'm hoping I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Pretty charismatic, even though he doesn't take off his helmet so far, which is to be expected. So his voice threw me off a little bit at first, but he is a bounty hunter that does shitty things, but he also has, it seems like, principles at his core. So he's just not some evil fucking monster going around just gathering or killing people for money, even though he is a bounty hunter. He has a conscience about it, okay? So yeah, if you haven't seen this, I would stop watching this video right now and go watch it. Otherwise, I'm going into spoilers hardcore for the first 2 episodes. You've been warned. So Werner's character is an ex-Imperial. I feel like that was pretty obvious. He's in charge of a remnant of stormtroopers and a piece of the Empire where he's holding out in the Outer Rim. Dr. Piercing has a Camino little symbol on his thing, which was from the cloning of the clones back in the prequels. So with the baby Yoda species, which we don't have a species name for it yet, but we're told we will because George came in and they consulted with him to flush out Yoda's species. So for now, I feel like a lot of people are just going to call him Baby Yoda. They're not saying that that is actually Yoda, although it could be a clone of Yoda. We don't know, because like I said, that doctor did have the symbol for the cloning facility, so maybe this is a clone of Yoda, but it's not the Yoda that dies or died in the OT. I hope that makes sense. By the way, I had surgery this week, so I'm a little fucking loopy, if you can't tell, and my voice is a little raspy too, because they just shove a big ass tube down my throat. So yeah, Baby Yoda is adorable. I like that he's very strong in the Force, and it's interesting that the Mando isn't really sure what's going on, but oh my god, is that Baby Yoda so cute. I want one. I want one so bad. And I love the baby just fucking floating along as he's trying to take out other bounty hunters, or he's trying to get his stuff back from the Jawas. And that stupid fucking crib is just floating and following him. I thought that was fantastic and hilarious. You know how sometimes they have babies or kids in a show and they try to make it too goofy? Everything the baby has done so far has just been hilarious, like it eating the frog and the Mando going, "Spit that out!" And he doesn't, he swallows it and then giggles. It's so cute. I will say one of my favorite things about this show is it definitely feels like you're going on an adventure, but there's so many side quests. So, okay, yeah, I want to return this bounty or figure out what to do with this bounty. But oh no, bounty hunters who are also tracking the baby attacked me. Oh no, my ship has been stripped, so I have to get it back. Oh no, I have to go get an egg for them in order to get it. It's just like a bunch of fucking side quests, and I love it, mostly because I'm addicted to massive multiplayer online RPGs. Although I've severely cut back because of my addiction problems with them. Also, do you remember a time when characters used to be put in situations simply because they were an obstacle for them to overcome and not because they were stupid or made stupid mistakes? That's what I really appreciate. I feel like the sequel trilogy, they just do things to be silly and stupid and make the character seem ridiculous, where the trouble the Mando gets into is just obstacles you would think would happen. It's not because he's bad at his job or a fucking idiot. I also like that he's not God tier, and he definitely can get fucked up pretty hard. Here's another great thing. There's not a ton of exposition. So a lot of shows tend to just have one character or two characters like ask each other questions or make statements so the audience can figure out what's going on, and they're not doing that in the show. And you've probably heard this show, Don't Tell. They are doing a great job of showing us instead of just having characters monologue pieces of information, and I am very grateful for that. And the first episode, IG-11, was pretty fucking awesome. I loved his continuously wanting to self-destruct and the Mando going, "No, no, do not self-destruct." He was a pretty bamf droid. I mentioned this before, but the Mando himself is very charismatic even with his helmet on, and he says things that would sound cheesy, you know, from certain actors or people, but him saying something like, "I'm a Mandalorian, weapons are my religion," it sounds awesome and epic, where other people saying it, you'd be like, oh wow, that was cheesy as shit, dude. Oh, and in case you're wondering about his ship called the Razor Crest and that last shot of him flying in the ship out into space, we actually got some really cool behind the scenes footage of that. So Favreau described it as a reflective silver old army surplus gunship, and they talked about how they 3D printed pieces of the ship and they got to use the model to shoot footage on, which was actually really cool to see. So instead of doing CGI or doing some effects afterwards, they actually 3D printed the ship and then had a backdrop and had the ship flying around. I like practical effects, so that's a plus for me. If you don't really care, then you probably won't care about this. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first two episodes. I have a feeling that this entire series is going to be majestic, but you can let me know what you think. Watch it, leave a comment in the section down below. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Wow, I am loopy as shit. And I can't wait to see the Mando keep upgrading his armor. It's gonna be so much fun.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more Star Wars videos.